And we are live. Welcome to the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. On today's show, we're going to be talking about faith in your business. You know, is faith something that you should keep separate from your business? Should you check it in at the front door? Or is it something that should be married in your business and really at the center of all things? So we'll be right back in just a moment to get a little deeper in this conversation. Woo! And we are live. We are back. Look, our platform looks a little different today, right?
Just a little bit. We're missing a couple people today.
Yeah, we have one traveling. We have one that's sick. So, Starr, we hope you get better.
Yes,
Christina, safe travels. And we've all been there, right? And that's one of the things that we talk about on the Uncensored Entrepreneurs, just in general. You have to pivot. You have to move. So that's exactly what Tina and I have done.
Unplugged. So if one of us goes down, we all at the step up.
That's it. You never know what we're going to be bringing you from week to week. So today, though, it's a perfect opportunity, actually. Maybe it was divine, quite frankly, that Tina and I, we were at an event last week down in Orlando. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. But so powerful, so impactful. So we're going to be talking a lot about faith in your business. We were down there with a couple thousand individuals,
right?
And man, some just so much impact. Oh
my gosh, it was an amazing event, and yes. I got to see a lot of people that I used to speak with back in the day.
Yes,
like in a network marketing company that I was involved with. They were all there, and it was like a little mini reunion. When seeing them coming through those doors, it was so embracing too. And then to see all the other people in there. And Robert, I had 5 of my co-authors for Be a Glow Stick Girl.
Awesome.
All there at that event.
That is, we should have done a book signing. You know what I mean? There's all these things that we just didn't even know. But again, that was the beautiful thing about it. There was just so much just stacked on top of each other. In addition to that, I'll just mention that I had 2 clients there that I had never even met in person, right? These are clients that I, interact with online. And so it was great to see people that we collaborate with, like you said, people that we've known for years. We have relationships
in person, right? Like there were people that I have known for years that was on my old talk show that I have been friends with and besties with online that I was able to actually physically give them a hug and connect with in person. And it is a lot different, but I absolutely love the fact that with social media that you can do that.
Absolutely. So in 1 minute, we're going to get into some meat and potatoes of things that we learned, and we'd love some input along the way. Before we do that, right, we're starting to become a little bit more legit, just so people know, not only are we online and social media, we're migrating over. We've been accepted on Apple. We're going to be on Spotify. So we're moving everything over into a podcast platform as well. And so that also means sponsors. We're looking for sponsors, but for the next couple weeks, we have a sponsor in place. You want to tell us a little bit about our sponsor?
Oh my gosh. So this is a good friend of mine, Dan Meyer with Sonic VA. He and his team have supplied me with the best VAs for the last, I would say 5 years, helped me build my brand, helped me build my social media, all those things that you need to delegate. And yes, awesome. I said delegate because a lot of us don't know how to delegate.
Absolutely.
A little bit to delegate and to learn to delegate. But now she has done it all. All the social media stuff that you see, I would say 80% of it is all from her. But it is all like my wording. So she learned my style. She learned my brand. She learned who I was. And so he and his team are simply amazing. So thank you, Dan, for being one of our sponsors. Absolutely. Sonic VA, you can contact him at 925-595-4079. or go to facebook.com/Sonic Virtual Assistant.
Absolutely. And here's just a few reasons why you should look into using a VA. Awesome. So thanks again to Sonic VA. And
stay in your lane. You as a coach or a business consultant, whatever you are, you don't have time to sit there and do all your social media. So hire and delegate. So then that way you can stay in your lane and be your creative self all the way through. And
absolutely.
I think Starr is commenting. Poor little girl. She is sick
Starr.
in bed. Starr, we love you. We miss you, but get well.
Yes, absolutely. And, so actually just kind of segueing from that, that's one of the things that I learned from last week's event, right? It was not only heart-centered, right? And it was filled with like this impact that totally had, transformation on mindset. But we learned so many valuable nuggets, right? One of them was exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
As a coach, as a leader, whether you're in corporate America or you're in your own business, whatever it may be, if you're serving the world, and most of us in some capacity do serve others, then you want to leverage that. Meaning, I know that as an entrepreneur, we get inundated with so many things to do. I've got to learn this. I've got to learn that. I got to understand how this works. I have to figure out marketing, advertising. And when you can actually delegate some of that at a very low cost, most of it is more reasonable than you would assume.
Yes.
Then you can focus on the things that are most important, delivering amazing content and transformation to others. And so we're going to talk a lot about that. I know I had a transformation moment last week.
And Robert, you were more in the front end and in the mix of everything. And me, because I was more of a volunteer, I was like in the back and behind the scenes type of thing. So I think between the both of us, we can bring out some great stuff from happening last week at the Faith Over Fear event. But you know what? One word stood out for me all weekend long, and it was surrender. Whether it is surrendering the delegation in your company to a VA, or surrendering your whatever is holding you back to your excellence to God, or surrendering just whatever it is, just surrender.
Absolutely.
That word.
That is key. And we're going to expand on that. Before we get too deep, I just want everyone to understand that's kind of tuning in, what was this event we went to, right? It's called Faith Over Fear. It was in Orlando last week. We ended up going for 4 days because we did some kind of VIP event as well. But it typically is a 3-day event, and they had over 30 speakers. Yes. People were pouring in, right? And we had John C. Maxwell as the keynote. I mean, if anyone understands,
let me tell you, hilarious.
Oh man!
He was having people cracking up and
filled with so much knowledge, right? And experience he's been a leader since he was 18 years old, building churches and all kinds of other things that kind of set him down that path. So it was very transformational, and I was honored. I mean, really, I'm still in awe. I'm still going through some of my notes. I probably purchased about 20 books while I was there because I just wanted content from everyone. Plus, I wanted to build those relationships, and we're going to talk a lot about relationships today. Yeah. But all right, so you talked about surrender, and so I didn't want to dismiss that. I mean, when most of us, when we got down there, and let me kind of set the stage for everyone that's just listening in. There was probably 80% of the people that knew exactly what they were in for, right? They knew that this was something that was.
Robert, I don't even think it would be 80%.
Well, yes, it was rank makers before, right?
Higdon has always done business stuff.
Exactly.
And if you haven't watched our other show from 2 weeks ago, please go back and watch it. He's going to tell you exactly why he changed from business to more of the faith-based. So I think a lot of the people, I would say probably 40 or 50% of the people that went there did not
They
expect.
didn't know what they were in for.
were
They did
going
not know. And it became not just business, not
Yeah.
just methods of being able to assist you in growing your business, but it was it literally turned into a transformational event where people were finally like realizing the gaps that they had, not in just business, but their entire lives.
And personally, I mean, they had speakers on stage talking about addiction, talking about porn addiction,
Yes.
alcohol addiction, drug addiction, dropping out
Amazing.
of school, divorce, suicide. I mean, every single thing, these hard, traumatic topics that they were able to turn their life around and give themselves, surrender themselves to God.
Yes.
And change and have this transformational thing in their business.
Yes.
And it was so amazing to see, because I think probably 10 or 12 speakers that I remember were addicts. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Well, with all of us, Tina, I know you have your story, I have mine. Every single person on here, Starr, Christina, and many of our guests and clients, we all find breakthrough typically, or at least the initial stage of stepping forward into your breakthrough at rock bottom, right? Something has happened in our lives that really makes us, just surrender. And so when you talked about surrender, most people can't surrender until they're completely humbled, right? And they're on their knees and on their face and they're like, okay, I need help. I need to get out of this. And we talk on the show all the time about your network is everything, right? Building relationships is so much more valuable than any type of check or any monetary value that you'll ever receive, because it's going to help you out of these ruts, right?
And you say that, and it's so good because I literally just got a survey back asking me what my biggest takeaway was. And I think my biggest takeaway, and I think because it was this time in my life, is not to let money work for you, but for you to work, for you to work for money, but let the money work for you. And don't idolize the money side of the situation, to start taking that and putting it aside.
All right, so I've got notes here I'm flipping through, but you're
right. Like, you and I both have been there, and where we're like, oh, we're making this much money, now we're at this prestigious way, and then we lose it, and then we're like, oh, now so cool. I don't know who I am because I used to make this much money. So don't let money define you, is what
that's it. And we use that as, sometimes in business, we use that as a measuring stick, right? I'm doing well today. And when we don't have it, I'm doing poor tomorrow. When really, if we continue to build relationships and we continue to serve others, that you're going to have the ebbs and flows, right? The hero's journey goes like this anyways. It's always going to have its peaks and valleys. So you just brought up a good point. So since you're talking about money, and by the way, I know you were in a whole different capacity there. So I was like Mr. Note Taker, right? I took all these notes. So
I'm glad you did, because I need all the notes, because I was in the back scenes, like selling the heck out of that swag stuff. And
you were in the swag shop, just
Lusk did amazing. And I'm not gonna say that she's one of our sponsors, but she's a great friend of mine. And her merch, every single person that came through there was like, oh my gosh, it was well done. Not stuff.
Yeah, it was well done. So let me touch base on money for those that are listening. I'm just gonna read some hot points, and Tina and I are just gonna kind of break it down through this episode. But so a couple things here. Pastor Jim Baker got up, man, very impactful. I mean, every speaker was, but one of the things that he prompted us to think about, and this was a mindset shift for me. He said, in business, how much is too much money, right? So we always go through this kind of, a shift of scarcity versus abundance. And sometimes we feel guilty when we have it. Sometimes we feel, resentful when we don't have it. There's all these things that go through our minds and our heart alignment when we talk about money. And so here's what he said. He said, how much is too much money? He said, the answer to that is, so for every person listening today on the show, whatever amount replaces God. And like that was a huge mic drop, because just think about that for a moment. Like, for some people, that may be $100. You get $100 in your hand, and you're like, whoop whoop, let's do this, let's party up, let's forget where this gift even came from. And then for others, it may be millions of dollars. So it's not a matter of whether it's $100, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, whatever it is you're like visualizing in life. When you're trying to obtain something, when you're trying to build something, create something that has monetary value, the amount that's too much is when you finally hit that level that actually that money replaces God.
Yeah.
So that was big for me. Hopefully it resonates with somebody out there as well.
I love that piece. And it kept reminding me that, God wants so much more for you. So whatever you can imagine, God wants that 10 times for you. So God does want you to be successful. He does want you to make millions. He does want you to do this, but he also wants you to do it his way. And he also wants you to do it as a good steward of God. So, doing the tithing and, helping other people and helping your community. And it's an amazing thing to do, but it also could be an addiction as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we have many people kind of tuning in from different platforms.
Yeah.
From here where we're at, we can see people on different stations. And so I would ask you to contribute, right? Like what is your thought? What is your thought around just faith? Let's just talk about like faith as a whole. I know we're going to be breaking it into different little segments and peeling back the layers, but like faith in your business. I know that I've always had God in my life, right? However, I can't always say that I was as faithful as I should be. And so with that being said, through these different phases of my life, when I go way back to some of my brick and mortar businesses, I thought faith was in one hand, and I thought that my business was in the other, and that
separate.
Yeah, we were taught that, right? Sometimes we're even taught that in school.
Don't commingle. Don't tell people your faith. You're going to lose half of your audience. Don't tell people you love Jesus. You're going to lose half of your people. Don't tell people about Jesus. It was all those.
Put your Bible at the door, hang your religious or your faith-based cloak, right? Hang that on the coat rack as you come in and leave it there. Like that's what we've been programmed to think. And here's the thing, by all means, and even in this conversation that Tina and I are having today, regardless of whether my faith is exactly in line with yours, there's no judgment at all. The question really is, should faith and your business come into true alignment? And I've found that, in times when your business isn't doing well, we're already leaning that direction anyway, right? We're already on our knees and we're praying or whatever it may be to say, help me out of this situation. So why in the world would we keep that separate from our business? I mean, our God, the people that we believe in, the person that we find that strength in, they should be the CEO of our companies. And so many times we kind of use them as counsel. Like, only when I'm in trouble am I going to lean on you. And so I
like the board of directors. No, God needs to be like the CEO of your company.
That's right.
He doesn't need to be part of your board of directors. He needs to be the CEO. He needs to be top priority. And when people were talking about all these millionaires and billionaires were talking about all this stuff this weekend or last week, they started off with talking about what they do in the morning time. And every single one of them, gratitude and prayer.
Yes. I talked about this a few weeks ago. I know we're kind of jumping around, but that's what happens, right? We're pivoting, and this is how the world works. But a couple weeks ago, I talked about the book, Robin Sharma's, 5 a.m. Club, and I've been really trying to get myself more grounded in that aspect. And he talks about the 20-20-20 rule. So like for 1 hour a day, wake up early, wake up an hour early. And I know that's hard. Kelly and I, we are so busy that when those alarms go off in the morning, it's like, no, right?
I bet you Kelly is pushing you out of the bed, telling you, get up.
That's it.
You're like, no,
but the 20-20-20 rule is, again, like you just stated, for 20 minutes, like be present in that faith, meditate, think about what's actually, coming before you in this day. And then another 20 minutes is actually like the physical, right? So you're working out a little bit, getting that heart going. And then another 20 minutes is educating yourself, listening to a podcast like this or reading a book, right? Just immersing yourself in some word, something that's going to bring knowledge and value to you. So all those things are so, so important. Kelly says, what did she say? Not at all true. He needs to push me. Okay. All right. She owns it. Yep. It says, if you are a true steward, you cannot separate business, relationships, or faith. They all have to be commingled. Otherwise, you're doing all three things justice. And that is so true.
You have to start your day with gratitude and prayer, because you're bringing God into your business and saying, please bless who can I bless today? Who can I help today? We all got in this business for money. We're not going to say we're not. We got in the business. We're coaches to make money, to have that freedom that we all want.
Yeah.
But we also got in there to help people. And that's the biggest reason, is to help other people. You have whoever your niche is, and that's the person you want to help.
Yeah.
So you have to pray about it. You have to have that faith in your business. So I want to ask you guys, do you have faith in your business? Do you bring God into your business? Do you talk about God on social media? What do you guys think? What are your opinions on bringing God on social media into your business? Or do you even pray? I had a coach one time pray before each one of our sessions. And I was like, oh, I like that. But would you be able to do that with all?
Well, and here's the thing. What you mentioned it earlier. So many of us kind of step in again. The event was called Faith Over Fear. We step into this fear zone because we feel like I'm going to alienate people. Will people judge me for doing this? And here's the thing. At the end of the day, if that is your faith, if you are aligned with that, then it should be foremost. It should be right in there. People should be able to see that and experience it. And here's the thing. More than anything, I don't know about you, but I spend a great deal of money on coaches. I have my own coaches and mentors. So do you, and all of us do, quite honestly. And that gives me comfort knowing that person not only is teaching me a great deal of skills in mindset, heart set, and business skill set, but they're also genuinely praying for me. They want to see me win.
Exactly.
They want my family to be well taken care of. That's huge in itself.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of the things that hold us back. One of the things that you mentioned, there were so many people talking about their breakthrough from addiction.
Yeah.
The fact that, and we're going to have a few guests come on over the next few weeks.
Oh my gosh, Robert, I am so freaking excited about all these guests. You guys, we have about 15 people.
I know. I blew my mind because by day 2, I told you, I said, I've got 12 people booked for the show already. And I'm like, where are we going to put them all? So anyways, it was.
I would pass each other in the hallway. He'd be like, Tina, come here. I want you to introduce. This is my co-host.
It was awesome.
And I'm like, okay. I want Robert, come over here.
Some amazing people.
Very good. So you guys, if you guys are not following us, make sure you follow this page, share it with others, because we are going to bring some amazing speakers, amazing guests on our show for the next couple of weeks. Till the end of the year, we're going to probably have booked up just from this Faith Over Fear event.
Right. And again, for those that are just watching for the first time or catching a replay later on, the Uncensored Entrepreneurs, we bring it real, raw, and unplugged. And the whole concept behind it was, when you're thinking about your business and you look at social media, it tells you all the glamour, right? I call it the Lamborghini method, where
highlight reel.
Yeah, yes. Right. It's the highlight reel of everything, all good things. But we bring it. We talk about these kind of things. We talk about your faith. We talk about parenting, how to juggle that in your business, relationships. One of the biggest things Kelly brought up earlier, that you cannot separate business, relationships, or faith. That is so true, because quite honestly, whatever's happening in your business, you're going to bring it into your life. And likewise, whatever's happening in your life, you're going to bring that into your business as well. And so let's touch base. One of the people that we will have on our show in the next coming weeks is Tom Chenault, right? So for those that know Tom, he's amazing. That guy is a character. In fact, he always says is, I'm a mess. You know what I mean? And so if you think of him as like this perfect polished role model. You aren't going to get that, but you will get real raw and unplugged with Tom Chenault. So it was my pleasure meeting him. And one of the things he did, he coming out of addiction from years ago, and then him bringing so many other people into this movement. I was in tears when people gave their story about, him kind of bringing them onto these platforms and helping them take their sobriety and the chains that were broken from addiction, and actually helping them take that message to the world. Like, that became their superpower, right?
Yes.
So for some of you that are actually watching right now, that are like, I'm struggling with something, just know that if you align yourself with the right people, with those that actually genuinely want to see you succeed and have breakthrough, that is your superpower. You are going to be able to take that experience, no matter how hard it is, no matter how much trauma or pain there is. You're going to be able to take that, and you're going to be able to deliver it to the world and bring others through that same experience, right? So a couple things. I'm just going to throw it out there, and we can kind of talk about it, Tina. So a few things that Tom mentioned. He says, people, first of all, we want to build relationships, right? It's all about attracting, not promoting. So think about that in your business. There's so many people trying to sell you things. So rather than selling, rather than promoting, attract, right? Yes. And the way you can attract is by sharing your experience, or, what your amazing product or service can do for others. And in that alignment, you're going to bring the right people to you. It may take longer than just this huge blast of selling stuff, but you're going to do it for all the right reasons and the longevity of your business.
And I don't know about you, but I get at least 3 to 5 people every day, brand new followers or brand new friends on Facebook, who try to pitch me every single day. And it's every like, hey, you don't even know who I am. Somebody literally just pitched me how to write a book.
Yeah.
Like, that means that you did not even have
to look at my page. Kelly and I just got in this conversation the other day. We literally did that. When people reach out and they're like, oh, hey, I love you. I love your content. I've been following you for a while. And I was wondering if you would be interested in ever being a coach.
And you're like,
or ever interested in digital marketing. And I'm like,
I'm a branding coach. I can help you build your brand. You're like,
right.
Even look at the first sentence.
Right. Do you look at anything?
You're out there and you're pushing these things. Stop.
Exactly.
Stop. Build that KOT factor. Build that relationship, because that is what we all want and need.
That's it. So here's something. If you guys are taking notes, I would write this down. One thing that Tom said, just in regards to this attraction, not promotion. He said, when you're building your tribe, whether it's a Facebook group or anything, your community, right? The people that you serve. He says, people must know 4 things. And this is like so true. I'm even looking at my own branding now and saying, am I aligned with this, right? So people must know these 4 things. Do they belong? Do they feel loved? Do they trust? And do they feel safe? And that is huge, right? On so many levels. Belong, love, trust, and safe. So do they belong? Like, do I feel like this is the right group for me? Is it serving me in some way? Have they reached out to me because, maybe I've gone through XYZ and this group is about XYZ? And do I feel loved? Like, do I feel like people genuinely care about my well-being here? Do I trust the individuals? Are they just here to pitch me something, or do I really feel like there's some trust being built? Yeah. Obviously that takes time, right? We all know that people do business with those that they know, like, and trust. We've heard that a million times. And then do I feel safe? That's even the bigger thing. So even above and beyond products and services, if I'm going to come onto any type of a coaching platform and I'm going to pour out my heart and soul, and I'm going to be vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm. Tina, you and I've had these sessions, other people. Yes. You sit there and you're an open book, and you're like, this is what's happening in my life. I'm in pain. I'm whatever situation it may be, right? It could be I'm broke. I'm this. I'm hurting. I'm feeling grief.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be. do I feel like I'm safe in this environment? Can I share that, genuinely and not feel judged? And are you going to be able to help me or point me in the right direction to those that are equipped to help me, right?
And if you're a coach out there, I mean, gosh, please do not have that judgment against them, because if they're paying you tons of money, first of all, you shouldn't be judging anyways, but they're being vulnerable, and whatever their hangups, whatever their hurts are, whatever their trauma is, they're opening up to you, and you need to make sure that you have that sense of sensitivity in you that's going to say, oh, listen, that's going to stay right between us. I mean, Robert, you and I talk like that all the time, like, hey, listen, this is going to stay between you and I. Yeah. That is always between you and I. You know what I mean? Like, this will never go out of anything else.
Yeah.
So, especially when you're coaching somebody to create a business or whatever, there's always going to be those hangups. The first thing you do as a coach is, what do? You help them with their mindset, and you got to find out what their hurts and their struggles are and their hangups are in order to help them with their mindset. Some of it is money. Some of it is past relationships. Some of it could be forgiveness. Some of it could be addiction.
Right.
You can't build a great relationship if you are an addict, you're a drug addict or an alcohol or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that will be that inconsistency. So you have to be that person to be able to be safe in that environment.
Yeah, you just made me think of that just by you saying those words. That was the other thing Tom said. He says the opposite of addiction is true human connection. And that's everything that we're talking about, right? So the opposite of addiction is true human connection. Because otherwise, right, the addiction becomes your God. That becomes what you have faith in. And so, most people crave human connection. So anything that severs us from that, which, by the way, and I won't get into all of the specifics, but it's even more important that we talk about these kind of things right now, because look at what's happened over the last few years. Yeah. Talk about severing yourself from human connection, right?
Everything went online. Nobody's seeing nobody for 3 years.
Yeah. And maybe that's right. Maybe that was part of the power of last week's movement, was having that live event again where you're shaking hands and giving hugs. And there were some people that, like, I've stepped into, my story with years ago online and in that safe space, that when you finally saw them face to face, you could do nothing but, it's like, can I just have a hug? You know what I mean? And you just, you embraced these individuals because you understood that they've gone through so much. And I know that everyone, here watching is going through something. So definitely reach out. So anyways,
sometimes it is just a good hug from somebody who you've been being, open and honest with. I haven't seen you in a couple of years. And
I know.
Last week, and that podcast.
It's like Tina, even though we see each other every, all the time, every week on the show.
It's that physical thing where I was able to actually sit there and give you a hug and be like, oh.
Yeah. It's that true sense of, like, caring, right? Yeah. The fact that people are actually there. Like,
and you met Paco.
Oh yes, that's right. I met your man. So that was good. Man, there's so many things I could cover right now. And we'll kind of just break it in. We'll probably break this into other segments as we go forward, because we plan on having these people on our shows. Of course, right? Because there's so many great things. But we really saw a major transformation. And so, kind of going back to last week's show, a couple things I'll leave people with. And that is, Ray Higdon put on the event. Of course, he had John C. Maxwell there, over 30 other amazing speakers, as I mentioned earlier. And it was all built around not just their business and the nuggets on how to be successful, but the fact that they had breakthrough and they put God at the center of their breakthrough. And so that was transformational. But Ray specifically, for those that don't know, he's been very successful in business, right? And he felt just unfulfilled. He felt like there was just something missing. And so after it's not about money, as we just said earlier, making millions of dollars and still feeling unsatisfied. And so it was for him to finally have that connection with God. And it's been less than a year. But there is a YouTube video out there for those that want to look him up, Ray Higdon. And it's
my apologies to God.
My apologies to God. Definitely, if you yourself are in this space where you're kind of still trying to figure out if your faith and your business, should be aligned, or if you're even just trying to figure out, what do I even believe? That may be a good place to start.
Yeah.
So my apologies to God. And so anyways, definitely look that up. He's super vulnerable. And now he puts that first foremost before anything monetarily. So one thing I just did not want to end today's episode without actually stating is someone gave again, there was over 2,000 people there last week. And someone stood on stage and said, if you want major transformation in your life and business, more so even your heart, mind, and soul, to make sure those things are in alignment, here is a prayer. He says, but be prepared for what's to come afterwards. And that prayer was, God, if you take me out of this hell that I'm living, whatever that may be, if you take me out of my situation, if you take me out of this addiction, but they use the word hell, if you take me out of this hell, even little by little, it may take me a long time, but I promise you that I will not only give you the honor, but I will take others out of this hell with me. And that is huge. So whether it's debt,
they just give you the chills.
I know, whether it's debt, whether it's addiction, whether it's anything that you're struggling with in life, say that prayer. And you know what? I said it. So I felt this. I knew that it was something that I needed in my life and in my business. Kelly and I, we're grateful for the things that we have in our life. We've experienced success. We've also experienced failure, right? Yeah. Not only in business, but in relationship. Yeah. But it's together. It's that togetherness. If you're trying to figure out whatever it is, business, life, faith, mindset, heart set, if you're trying to do that on your own, more than likely the odds are against you. Yeah. So you have to have God at the center.
And share your story. I mean, so many times I tell people to share your story. Yeah, share your story, write a book. But share your story with other people, because you never know when you share your story with somebody that your story might resonate with them.
Absolutely.
This whole weekend, I was compelled with this one lady who came up and she was like, there was 2 lines to, get their swag. And she was like, I was led to your line. Your line was longer. I said, that's because everybody wanted to be in my line. But she was like, your line was longer, but I was led to come here. And she goes, and I was told to tell you that I wanted to write a book and share my story. And I went, what? And she goes, yeah. She goes, do you know anybody who can help me? And I was like, are you kidding me?
You're like, I think I do.
And I was like, I am a self-publishing coach.
Yeah.
And she goes, you're kidding me. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And so I took her aside after my line died down. I took her aside and she just started bawling. And I prayed with her and she was like, God told me to come share my story with you. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, wow. I don't think I've ever been a part of something like that.
Mm-hmm.
God told somebody to come talk to me, and she told me her story, and her story was almost like my story. And so I told her my story. I gave her my book, and we have a phone call next week to help her share her story. And
I love that.
Like, and every time I seen you would walk by, and God said, go talk to her, go talk to her, go talk to her. And she never did. And then she finally did in my line. And I was just, it was so compelling. It was an amazing thing. So share your story, because you don't have no idea who you can help outside.
See, that is so true. And by the way, that's the missing piece, right? You could even be successful in your business through just mechanics, good content, whatever it may be, good funnels, good sales techniques. But that component of faith will bring people to you. Last week, you and I both had that same experience. In fact, everyone I talked to, so many people came up to me. And when you got talking, you realized how much you had in common, where you could help each other fill those gaps. It was transformational.
Justin King gave us a few tickets to give to all of our audience, and we gave a bunch away.
Yes.
And we did give a ticket to a young man who is going to be on our show here in a couple of weeks. And Robert got to meet him, and I got to talk to him a couple of times. And it was an amazing story how you were able to give him that ticket.
Yes.
And all the transformation that he got.
All the things that were happening, even his own story of sobriety, which we'll be talking about as well. So actually, speaking of that real quick, because we're just kind of wrapping up today's show. Justin King, not only thank you, my friend, my brother, for helping so many people. I think that through our show a couple weeks ago, you gave out a total of, I believe, 6 tickets.
He did.
And so that was amazing. So we appreciate you. And he actually did something called In Search of the Holy Grail, right? 2,000 people there. Whoever wanted to join could join in. And it was basically like a scavenger hunt of nuggets, information, taking pictures of the speakers, talking to speakers, whatever it may be.
Go through it all.
And I brought home the trophy. I am a little competitive, but I think I'm going to hang on to this and actually share the love. We're going to come up with some things in the future, and let's see if we can pass this on
the Holy Grail
to others that have achieved those things. So a couple quick things here. There's so much more we could talk about. Even if you're watching the replay later on any platform, please throw in questions, comments. Follow us on Uncensored Entrepreneurs on Facebook. You can also find us across all other social media platforms. But we are migrating, as we said earlier. In addition to this, you'll still have this, so you can see our pretty faces. No, sometimes sad.
Somebody's pretty face. No.
Yeah. But you'll be able to follow us on Apple Podcasts and also Spotify. So we're moving into the podcast platform full blown now.
And for updates, go to uncensoredentrepreneurs.com. Put your email address in. You'll get our updates. You'll get our weekly emails. You'll be able to get more information about all four of us, why we started the show, when our next show is, all that kind of good stuff. So make sure you go to Uncensored.
And if you've got a story to tell and you'd like to be on our platform, we're still looking for people there as well. And then in addition to that, we're still looking for sponsors. We now have rolled into sponsorship. So what I'll end with, and we do appreciate each and every one of you. We're grateful. We have an amazing sponsor for the next few weeks here. And so kind of bringing us out, Tina, we got Dan
Meyer from Sonic VA. Again, virtual assistants are the way to go. It is not as expensive as you may think. Give him a call, 925-595-4079. Thank you, Dan, Sonic VA, for being our amazing sponsor once again on this episode of Uncensored Entrepreneurs.
We appreciate it. We're going to go out with a few reasons why you should use a VA. Please connect and reach out to us. We love and appreciate each and every one of you. Remember, faith doesn't have to be in this hand. Business doesn't have to be just in this hand. You can blend them together and put God or whoever it is that you believe is pointing you in the right direction at the center of all things. We appreciate it. Thank you.